Hi, here we go. We're going to be doing lesson 4 today. Lesson 4 we'll be getting to in just a few minutes when we do our sprint and some other things, but make sure you have that out of your binder ready to go for today. All right, so I am going to come back. I need to put this up just a titcheroo so you can see what I am doing. So I have my centimeter stick with me, my centimeter ruler, and we're going to use our centimeter ruler to do some adding and subtracting with some basic facts. So hopefully you have your centimeter ruler in front of you, and if you don't, I'm going to make that just a little bit bigger, maybe not quite, so there we go, making that a little bit bigger. So if I wanted you to put your finger on 3, I'm going to put my finger on 3 and ask the question, what is 8 more than 3? Well, I can think in terms of 8 more centimeters than 3. So I'm going to start at 3 and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did you come up with 11? If you did, well, fantastic. That's exactly what you should have done. If I was saying 8 more than 3, that would give me 11. It would be like counting 8 more centimeters. Now I need to get my whiteboard slipped over there for just a minute. Here's my whiteboard. And I need my whiteboard marker and my eraser. Somehow I didn't quite get over here with those things. So if I was going to write an equation that would denote 8 more than 3, I would write 3 plus 8 equals 11. So 8 more than 3 would give me 11. So what if I was going to say I started at 11 and I said 8 less than 11? Well, I would count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which puts me back at 3. So if I said 8 less than 11, I would be counting back 8 centimeters, which would get me back to 3. If I was going to write an equation, that would be 11 take away 8 equals 3, because 8 less than 11 would give me 3. 8 less than 11 would give me 3. All right, let's try another one of those. This time we are going to put our finger on 5. We're going to put our finger on 5, and we are going to say, what is 6 more than 5? So I'm going to start on 5 and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did that get you also at 11? It should have. That's because if I was going to write an equation, 5 plus 6 equals 11, I could say that 6 more than 5 would give me 11. If I wanted to do 6 more, what is 6 more than 5? I would get 11. Now, if I started at 11, I'm going to start at 11, and I'm going to say, what is 6 less than 11? Or what is 6 less than 11? Well, that would be easy, because I could think in terms of counting back 6 from 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which would put me back at 5. So I can use my centimeter ruler to help me with also adding basic facts. Let's try one more, or we're going to try a couple more of those just so we can get you familiar with what I'm doing. So what if I said I wanted to do 5 more than 9? Well, I'm going to put my finger on 9, and I'm going to count ahead 5 more. This time I'm going to count those spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where does that put me? It puts me at 14. So 5 more than 9 would be 14, and 14 less 5 would put me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would put me back at 9. So 5 less than 14 would be 9. Okay, let's try a couple more. I thought this was a very interesting way to look at addition using our centimeter ruler. Let's say we wanted to do 5 more than 4. So 5 more than 4. I'm going to start on 4, and I'm going to count ahead or do 5 more than 4, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Puts me right at 9. And this time I did my little rainbow count, where I was counting each space. Space 1, space 2, space 3, space 4, space 5, which would give me 9 centimeters. All right. So what if I went and I said I want to be 5 less than 9? Well, I can start at 9. Here's 9, and I'm going to count back 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you see how that put me on 4? So that would be 4. So I can use my centimeter stick to also help me with adding and subtracting basic facts by either going so many, well, we'll try one more. I want to do 5 more than 7. What is 5 more than 7? So I'm going to start at 7, and I'm going to count 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more than 7 would give me 12. Okay, what if I wanted to do 5 less than 12? 5 less than 12, well, let's count that back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puts me at 7. All right, so using your centimeter stick as a way to be able to add and subtract basic facts is an interesting way of looking at things. I'm going to be honest, I have never done it that way before, but it certainly works. I'm going to go back to these last problems that we just did because I want to extend those just a little bit farther. If I was doing 5 or 6 more than 5 and got 11, then 5 more than 6 would also be 11. So you're very familiar with how this works with a number bond. If I wanted to say 6 less than 11, that would give me 5. And if I wanted to say 5 less than 11, that would give me 6. So I basically have my number bond here, what we've been talking about for quite some time. I have my number bond with 5 plus 6 is 11. 6 plus 5, oops, let me move that over a little bit. 5 plus 6 is 11. 6 plus 5 is 11. 11 take away 6 is 5, and 11 take away 5 is 6. Now, I'm going to tell you what I am showing to you right now will help you with the sprint that we're going to do in just a couple of minutes. But we'll just do a few more of these and see if I can help you understand where you're going to be going. If I wanted 5 more than 9, that would give me 14. If I wanted to do 9 more than 5, that would also give me 14. All right, so this is, again, thinking about our number bond. If we had 14 up at the top, we would have 9 and 5. 9 plus 5 is 14, the same way as 5 plus 9 is 14. Now, if I wanted to go 9 less than 14, well, 9 less than 14 would give me 5 because 14 take away 9 is 5. And if I wanted to do 5 less than 14, well, 14 take away 5 is 9. Okay, this is very, very closely matching what you are going to be doing with your sprint today. I think we'll try maybe one more of these and then we'll give the sprint a shot. Okay, so what if I wanted to do 5 more than 7? Well, 5 more than 7 would give me 12. If I wanted to do 7 more than 5, I would also get 12. If I was thinking in terms of 12, that I wanted to go 7 less than 12, 7 less than 12 would give me 5. And if again I had 12 but I wanted to go 5 less than 12, that would give me 7. Does this seem logical if my number bond was 12 with 7 and 5? 7 plus 5 is 12. 5 plus 7 is 12. 12 take away 7 is 5, and 12 take away 5 is 7. Now, if you can keep this in your head, this next this next sprint that we're going to do will be very easy to you. So I am going to erase my board and put my whiteboard aside for a few minutes, and I would like you to get your sprint, if you would please. You are going to grab your sprint. Please remember that when you're doing the sprints, you have 1 minute, which means Miss Starr needs to get her phone out and get ready to time you for 1 minute. You're going to go as far as you can on this sprint, as far as you can with the sprint, and you have 1 minute to do that, and I'm still not quite to where I need to be on my phone to do that. Okay, so 1 minute. I'm just going to point out before we get started, 8 plus 3, 3 plus 8, 11 take away 3, 11 take away 8. If you look at this group right here, you can see that it is a related number bond. If you can get that in your head, this sprint will be very, very easy for you. So think about these 4 problems as a number bond. These 4 problems are a number bond. And I'm not going to go any farther. I probably shouldn't have even told you that much. So get your pencil ready and begin. Keep working. And you're going to stop. Thank you very much. Now I am going to bring over the answer key here. The answer key is telling you that you have a number bond here, and I showed you this number bond here. But what I'd like you to do is you're going to pause the video now. I'm going to have to bring this up just a titch so you can see the whole thing. So you're going to see how far did you get. I'm going to say maybe you got maybe about this far. You're going to look at the answers and see how you did by pausing the video so that you can see all of the answers, and then you are going to say how many did you get correct. Okay, so pause the video and check your work. Okay, are you back? How did you do? I think that if it was me, I probably would have gotten about that far. I think I could have probably gotten 16 problems done. If you didn't get the rest of it done, that's okay. When you get all the way finished with the work that we're going to do today, you should really come back and finish this sprint all by yourself, because it is really good practice for you with your basic facts. And of course, that's an important thing that you need to be doing. So now we are going to come over to the second sprint. And again, I remember that I had 16 on the last page. I'm just going to put that up there so I know what I'm trying to beat. So get your pencil ready. Oh, little hint, 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 number bond. I'm just going to give you this hint. The number bonds are a little different, but they're still number bonds. That might help you to get a little farther and a little faster. Ready and begin. Don't stop. Keep going. Your time is up. I'm going to bring over my answer key. And remember, these were a number bond, and these were a number bond. I really hope that that helped you to be able to do a little bit faster than you might have done otherwise. So what I'd like you to do now is you're going to pause the video and you're going to check, and hopefully you were able to get a little bit farther this time. Hopefully you were able to get a little farther. So pause the video. Do it now, please. Are you back? Okay, very good. How did you do? Well, last time I had 16. I had 16 on the last one, and I went up to 22. So here I was at 16, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more. So I had an improvement of 6 because this time I got 22. All right, so let's go ahead and move on with the rest of our lesson. And this is going to be an interesting lesson because of the things that we're going to be oh, wait a minute, I cannot do that yet. I'm not ready to do that. I need to do something else. So I want you to think in terms of if we were going to, say, redecorate. This is going to be kind of interesting here because you're just going to have to listen to me talk. So I don't have any pictures to show you. Well, maybe I'll just draw a little picture here so you can see. What if we had, this is a room in our house. Okay, this is in my house. Okay, and I want to redecorate this room because the carpet in there is really old and I want to get some new carpet. So I want some new carpet in my living room. All right, so this, of course, on a piece of paper doesn't look very big, but you think about the living room in your house. If I was going to measure how much carpet I would need to go in the living room in my house, or maybe even in my classroom, I would probably have to measure how much of that I was going to need. Now, would it be reasonable for me to use this little small centimeter stick? This only goes up to 30 centimeters. Holy Toledo, my house is a lot bigger, and the room in my house is a lot bigger than my little centimeter stick here that I'm using. It's not very big, and plus the units, those centimeter units, are pretty small. Think back when we were doing, on the first lesson, when we were using little centimeter cubes to measure. Thank goodness we finally moved to measuring now with the centimeter stick because it's a lot easier. But think about the fact that a centimeter is not very big. It is a very small unit. And if I was going to try to measure a big space like my living room, I would probably want to use a different tool. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before, and it's going to be a little bit hard for me to show it to you, but what I have in my hand is a very long stick. I maybe should move it just a little bit slower. It's a very long stick, and it's got centimeters on it the same way my centimeter stick does, but I'm looking, wow, it's got a lot of centimeters on it. It goes all the way up, it goes all the way up to 99, and this very last line right here would be 100. It has 100 centimeters on this centimeter. We're going to call this a meter stick. So if I have 100 centimeters, which this stick has, I would call that a meter stick. So that's going to be important for you to know. When you are measuring something that is really long, like a room, you might want to use something called a meter stick. Now this is not a yardstick, this is different. There's 50 centimeters, there's 60 centimeters, wow, this thing's really long. 70 centimeters, 80 centimeters, 90 centimeters, and 100 centimeters. And I'm going to just, so yeah, that meter stick is pretty long, and if you were here in my classroom, you would be able to see how long that really is. I don't have a lot of meter sticks. for me to be able to send home, but perhaps maybe you have a meter stick at your house. Now, even using a meter stick can sometimes be a little complicated, so you might want to use something called a measuring tape. Now, this particular measuring tape is really long. Oops, oh, let me get it over onto the centimeter side. So here's the centimeter side of my meter stick, of my measuring tape. Okay, so here I have, I'm going to lay that little centimeter right on there. Can you see that this measuring tape is also measuring in centimeters? But it is really, really, really long. I'm going to just keep pulling it out here a little bit. Pulling it out. There's the same as my meter stick. It's up to 1 meter. So 1 meter is the same as 100 of these. 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. Now my measuring tape, I can just keep pulling that out. I'm going to keep going. Here I go. Now I'm at 2 meters. That would be 2 of those sticks. If I kept going and kept going, oh, this thing is really long. There's 3 meters. I think maybe if I was going to measure this carpet, I might want to use this measuring tape, because then I would only have to use 1 really long tape instead of 3 separate meter sticks. How long does this thing go? Wow, if I'm going to measure something that's extra long, I might want to use my measuring tape. There's 4 meters. Do you see it right there? That would be 4 of those meter sticks. It's still coming out. Wow, it's all over my floor. I wish you could see it. You'd be laughing right now. There's 5 meters. Do you see it right there? 5 meters. Wow, it's still coming out. I wonder how long this thing is. Holy Toledo, there it is. There's 6 meters. Do you see it? 6 meters. I wonder if this is 10 meters. I'm going to take an estimate that this is about 10 meters. Okay, I'm going to keep going. You got it. You can't talk to me right now because I am videotaping. There's 7 meters. Sorry, I had somebody come into my room. Here we go. This is 7 meters. Now I have, let's keep going. I have 7 meters. Now I am at 8 meters. Wow, do you think I'm going to get to 10? Probably. There's 8 meters. I'm just pulling it out more and more. Oh, 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 there's 9 meters. Holy loli loli, you should see the mess I have over here. Do you think it's going to get to 10? I'm only going to take it to 10, even if it goes farther than that. I think I might be about to the end. There's 10 meters right there. I think I'm not going to go any farther. So there is 10 meters. That's the same as 10 of those meter sticks. Wow, that is a lot of measuring tape. I'm going to pull it all back in now. So I am winding it all the way up, and it's all coming back into my measuring tape. Maybe you have one of these at your house. It's a pretty cool way to measure because I don't have to use a lot of meter sticks. Whoop, there's 5 meters. Wow, okay, I'm just going to do this really fast because we still have a lot we have to do. Let me get that all back in there. So if I want to measure a longer distance, I'm either going to use a measuring tape, or I possibly could also use my meter stick depending on how long it is, how long the length is of what I am going to be measuring, because this is only 100 centimeters and equal to 1 meter. It's a little hard to see that at your house, but I think what I need you to really understand is a centimeter is a much smaller unit than a meter, because it takes 100 centimeters to equal 1 meter. So it would take a lot more of these little cubes to measure a full meter, if you understand what I'm saying. It would only take 1 meter stick, but 100 of these. So if I wanted to measure something really long, I'd probably want to use meters instead of centimeters. All right, so that is that. Let us continue on with some other things. I'm going to put my measuring tape back in my measuring tape box. So oops, yep, you guys are having to put up with that today. Putting my measuring tape back in my measuring tape box, and let's then go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be doing on our practices today. So you have to measure 5 things in the classroom with a centimeter ruler. Hopefully you still have your centimeter ruler, but I am going to be telling you what I want you to measure so that this will be a lot easier for us to do. So I'm going to just do something here for just a second. I'm going to fold my paper over. I'm going to fold my paper over. And this first space right here, I want you to actually measure this space. So you're going to get your centimeter stick, or you're going to look at mine. I'm going to measure how long is this little space between right here at the beginning and over here. So here's my beginning point, here's my ending point. Can you see about how many centimeters that space is? Well, I want you to write that right here. How many centimeters do you see in this space from here to here? So this space measures, did you say that it was 8 centimeters? If you did, you did a great job, and you should name this space. This space. I'm going to maybe make a little trade here for just a second. I don't know if I like how I did that. Let me do it this way. Okay, we're going to go this way. Will probably work better. I'm going to come over here. Sometimes you just have to be creative when you're trying to do distance learning. So this little space right here was about 8 centimeters. Oops, that's kind of tipped weird. Now, what if I was going to measure from right here? I'm going to get my yellow highlighter so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to measure the whole box. I want to measure from right here to clear over here. So I'm going to measure from from here, clear over to here, and measure this whole table. How much is that going to measure? All right. So let me get my measuring device here, my meter stick, and not my meter stick, I'm sorry, it's not a meter stick, it is a centimeter stick. All right, so my centimeter stick, you can look and see how far did I measure from this side. Oops, I maybe need to get that over just a little bit. So here's my starting point, here's my ending point. That would be about 17 centimeters. If you said about 17 centimeters, congratulations. Now I want you to think about the line for your name. How long is that line for your name? So this time we're going to be measuring this. Here's my starting point. There's my ending point. So you're going to measure how long is the line for your name. And I'm going to help you out just a little bit. You can look at my measuring device and tell me about how many centimeters is the line for your name. Did you write it in right here? You need to. If you said that it's about 9 centimeters, congratulations, you did a great job. This time we're going to do the line for the date. That's going to be this one. Starting and ending. Starting and ending point. Here we go. You need to write the line for the date on your paper, because then we're going to measure it and you're going to tell me about how many centimeters is the line for the date. All right, so let's take a look at that, and we are going to measure. Can you see that? How many centimeters is the line for the date? Write it down, and if you need to pause the video for just a minute, that's fine. I think you're probably getting used to that. So the line for the date is, did you say that it was about 4 centimeters? If you did, congratulations, you did a great job. Now this one's going to be a little bit more tricky. This one's going to be a little bit more tricky because I need to get the whole paper here. I want you to measure from the top of the paper to the bottom of the paper. Whoops. Top of the paper to the bottom of the paper. Top of the paper to the bottom of the paper. About how tall is this paper? Okay, you might need to pause the video so that you can take the time to measure. I'm going to see if I can get it in here so you can see it. I've turned it sideways, and I'm going to put that down. I'm going to see if I can't get just a little bit closer. I'm actually going to scoot it way over here so you can get a good look at how far that came. Even though you can't see the whole thing, I'm very carefully making sure that I have the 0 on the top of that paper, and it measures about, write it down. What do you think? If you need to pause the video, Miss Star has measured that whole paper. And if you said, well, Miss Star, it's about 28 centimeters, you are absolutely correct. All right, so now we are going to measure 4 things in our classroom with our meter stick. Now that's that really long one. We're not going to, whoops, I got it upside down. We're going to use the meter stick starting at 1 centimeter. Remember, it's 100 centimeters long, and we're going to measure some things that are about a meter or a few. Now, you're going to have to just trust me on this. If you want to try, you can do it. But our classroom door, I went over and measured it, and it was about 2 centimeters. If you have a door at your house and you have a meter stick, you can go see if your door is about the same as mine, which is about 2 centimeters. Now, every single classroom has a whiteboard. My whiteboard, you're going to have to think back to when you were in first grade and think about how big that whiteboard was that was in your teacher's classroom. I just measured mine this morning, and it was about, not exactly, but it was about 4 meters. So I used my meter stick to help me with that, because my little centimeter ruler, I would have been forever trying to measure with this. I want to use the tool that would best fit what it is that I'm going to try to measure. Now the desk that I sit at, you can't see that very good, but I measured my desk this morning, and it is about 1 meter. So that's a little bit closer to maybe 1.5, but because I don't want to go up to the next meter, it wasn't quite 1.5. I'm going to say that it was about 1 meter. Well, actually, it's about 1 meter wide. I could have done how wide is it. If I said how wide is my desk, I could have said that it's about 1 meter. Now, here's the tricky one. How far is it across the classroom floor? This would be like measuring the carpet from one side of the classroom to the other. And it would be very similar to what we just did a few minutes ago when I talked about measuring, I don't know where I put that paper, but I talked about measuring my living room. Oh, there it is right there. Remember when we talked about measuring the carpet for my living room? I was going to have to use a tool that was pretty long. And I will give you a hint. I did take out my measuring tape when I did this, because it was going to take me laying a lot of meter sticks end to end to be able to measure how far across my classroom it was. Are you curious to know how wide my classroom is? Well, it was about 9 meters. It's pretty long. And I hope so, because I have about, right now I have about 20 students who are in my classroom who are visiting with me every day, face to face, about 20 students. All right, so hopefully if you need to pause the video so that you can get the rest of that copied. And then we are going to move on to our next exercise. We're going to turn the page, and we are going to measure, let's see, let me do this. We are going to now measure 5 things that are in your house that would measure about a meter stick or a meter on a measuring tape. So, what are some things that you would want to measure in your house that might be about a meter? So I'm going to have you shut the video off, and I want you to think of 5 things that you might have in your house that would measure at least a meter or longer. All right, so shut the video off, and then I'll share a couple of ideas of things that I came up with that would be possible. But of course, your answers might not be exactly the same as mine, and that's okay, because we have different houses. All right, shut the video off. Write down 5 things. Okay, are you back? Okay, let's look at some of the things that Miss Star considered at her house that might be about a meter. How about your front door, or maybe even the door to your bedroom? Most doors in most houses are about 2 meters, just like I told you a few minutes ago. What about the bed that you sleep on? Well, your bed is probably at least 2 or maybe longer, depending on how big of a bed it is. Your bed is at least 2, maybe 2.5 meters. I know that you all sit down and eat at a table, and I'm sure that that table that you eat on is definitely a meter, or if not more. Think about the car that your mom and dad drive you places in. That's definitely going to be a few meters long. And one of my favorite places in my house is my refrigerator. I love to go to my refrigerator, and it's probably about 2 meters tall and maybe about a meter wide. Depending on the fridge that you have would depend a lot on how tall yours was, but it can't be too tall because it has to fit inside your house. All right, so let's take a look at this. Why would you want to measure these items, these 5 items that we're talking about up here? Why would you want to measure these 5 items with a meter stick or a meter tape instead of a centimeter ruler? Why would you want to use that bigger tool rather than this smaller tool? Okay, I'm going to say you've got about some time that I want you to write your answer on these spaces right here. I would measure, I'm just going to get you started. I would measure these things with, and then you're going to finish it with, with a meter stick. I'll help you still just a little bit. With a meter stick, because. Why would you prefer to use a meter stick rather than a centimeter stick? Can you finish that? I would measure these things. Remember these things that we wrote down up here? I would use a meter stick to measure. I would measure these things with a meter stick because. Can you finish that sentence? Why would you do that? All right. Okay, stop the video and see what you think. Okay, are you back? All right, so let's take a look at least what I wrote. You might have written yours just a little bit different, but we'll go ahead and take a look at it anyway. So I would measure these things with a meter stick because they are much longer than my centimeter ruler. This centimeter ruler, if I had used that to measure all of those things, my front door and my bed and the table that I eat on, I would be having to put this end to end over and over and over again. And that would just take too much time. It is actually much faster to do it with a measuring tape or to do it with a meter stick. All right, so let's take a look at the next problem that we're going to be doing. This is problem number 4. The distance from the cafeteria to the gym is 14 meters, okay? 14 meters. The distance from the cafeteria to the playground, here's an important key word, is double that distance. How many times would you need to use a meter stick, okay, that meter stick that I showed you just a minute ago, to measure the distance from the cafeteria to the playground? Now, before we do this problem, I want to talk about the word double. Okay, this will help you really figure this out. When you double something, it's like saying 1 plus 1. That's double. Double means 2 of the same number, which would be 2. 2 plus 2 is double, which would be 4. 3 plus 3 is double, which would be 6. Now, you probably remember when you were in the first grade that your teacher talked about your facts that are called doubles. When you double something, you use the same thing twice. 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 3 plus 3, 4 plus 4, and so on. So, with that in mind, remember that the distance from the cafeteria is about 14 meters. The distance from the cafeteria to the playground is double that. So that really shouldn't be too tough. It's double that distance. Think about what Miss started here when I doubled 1, and I doubled 2, and I doubled 3. Could you figure out what the distance is, or how many times you would need to use that meter stick if you were going to measure the distance from the cafeteria to the playground? Remember, this was 14 meters or 14 meter sticks. This would be the same as 14 meter sticks. And they want to know how many meter sticks would it take if you were going to measure from the cafeteria to the playground, and it's double that distance. Okay, take just a minute, shut the video off, and let's see if you can do it. Okay, are you back? I hope so. So did you say, well, it's 14 from the cafeteria to the gym, but I need double 14 in order to get from the cafeteria to the playground. So there's the equation that I would need. I have to double 14. This is pretty easy to do. If you think about what we've been doing in the past, I'm going to add my ones and my ones, which gives me 8 ones. I'm going to add my tens and my tens, which gives me 2 tens. And that would be the same as 2 10. 2 tens, 8. What is 2 tens, 8? Well, I hope you said that that was 28. So it would take 28 meter sticks to get from the playground to the cafeteria. I mean, from the cafeteria to the playground. That was kind of an interesting problem, and I don't know if you totally understood that, but I'm hoping that with my explanation you were able to do it. All right, so now we're going to come over to starting a little bit of our homework. You're going to either circle cm for centimeter or m for meter to show which unit you would use to measure the length of each object. So you've got a marker and a school bus and a computer and a highlighter marker and a football field. So the length of a marker, is that long or is that short? The length of, you know, a marker, this kind of a marker? What would that be? Is that long or is that short? Well, if you're thinking that that would be a centimeter, you would probably be right. But what about a school bus? That marker is kind of small. Would you agree? But a school bus is pretty big compared to a marker. Did you say that that would be about a meter? Well, I'm going to help you just with those two. You need to finish the rest of them by yourself. Shut the video or pause the video, and then you can come back in just a minute and we'll check your answers. Okay? Are you back? Okay, let's take a look at how you did. So the length of a computer, it's not that big. You should have said a centimeter. And a highlighter, well, you see Miss Star use highlighters all the time. They're not that big. So did you say about a centimeter? A football field is really long. You would probably need to have a special measuring tape to measure that one, but you would want to measure that in meters. A parking lot, again, really big. Probably need to use meters. A cell phone, well, here's Miss Star's cell phone. Ding. It's not very big, is it? Not really. I'd probably want to measure a cell phone because it's small, using centimeters. Now it says the length of a lamp, and that really depends on what kind of a lamp you're talking about. If you said that this was a desk lamp, I would have said centimeters. But if you were talking about a floor lamp, one that's really tall, you might have said meters. So it kind of depends on which one you were thinking about. What about when you go to the supermarket or the grocery store? Well, that's going to be pretty big, so that's going to be meters. The length of a playground is probably going to be meters. I'm videotaping. And yeah, there you go. So now we're going to fill in the blanks with either centimeters or meters. Centimeters or meters. So I'm going to just come over here for just a minute. I'm going to cover that right up. So what do you think about the length of a swimming pool? Okay, now a swimming pool, if it was only 25 centimeters, that might be the kind of swimming pool that you would use for maybe, I don't know, a baby doll. It wouldn't be very big. It would be pretty tiny. In fact, it wouldn't even be as big as our centimeter stick. So I would say that you needed meters. Okay, what about the height of your house? Now, the height of your house is pretty tall, isn't it? The height of your house is pretty tall. I hope you said that that would be meters. Oh, my gosh, you know what? I think I forgot to tell you to pause the video. I just did those first two with you. So you're going to pause the video, and then we're going to come back and take a look at this. Okay, pause the video. Are you back? Okay, so we have Karen. Karen is 6 centimeters shorter than her sister. Would it be even reasonable to say that she was 6 meters shorter than her sister? Now that would be way too crazy. How about Erin ran 65 meters down the street? Well, that would be reasonable because if you said she only ran 65 centimeters, well, that would not be very long. That would only be 65 of these little teeny tiny cubes. Would that be reasonable to say she runs 16 centimeters? Nope, I hope you said meters. And the length of a pencil box is probably 3 centimeters longer than a pencil. So a pencil isn't really very big, but if I had to put it in a pencil box, wouldn't my pencil box need to be about 3 centimeters longer so that my pencil would fit in that pencil box? Okay, so now let's continue to move on. Okay, so this time you have to use your centimeter ruler to measure the length of these objects from one mark to the other. I'm going to show you where these marks are. So you're going to measure here, you're going to measure across, and on this one you're going to start here and end here on this triangle. Okay, and this half circle, you're going to measure from one side of the half circle to the other side. And in this hexagon, you're going to measure from one side of the hexagon to the other. And on your rectangle, you're going to measure from one side to the other. Now, they've given you a little centimeter ruler. How nice! I think you could probably cut that out. You probably could. You could cut that out and use that to measure those. So you're going to measure the triangle and the semicircle and the rhombus, which is B, and the hexagon, which is D. And then you have to explain how the strategy to find the length of each shape is different from how you found the length when you use the centimeter cubes. Why would it be different to measure either using the centimeter cube or measuring using your centimeter stick? So explain how the strategy to find the length of each shape above is different from how you would find the length if you used a centimeter cube. Man, I did not like using those centimeter cubes. It was a lot of work. Anyway, you're going to do this page, and then we're going to come back and check your answers. Alrighty? Okie dokie. Here we go. Did you shut it off? I hope you did. Shut it off, pause for a minute, and then come back. Okay, are you back? Alrighty, let's measure this. Okay, this triangle is about 3 centimeters. Now we're going to come up to the rhombus. The rhombus is also about 3 centimeters. And now we're on the semicircle. If you need to pause the video so you can take a good look at that, take a good look. Can you see how many centimeters we're talking about on that semicircle? If you said 5, congratulations, 5 centimeters. Now our hexagon from side to side is about 4 centimeters. And our rectangle is also about 4 centimeters. Okay, and you could cut that out. Hopefully you did, and did that as well. So did you give me an explanation about the length? If you didn't, you need to pause the video because I'm about to show you what I wrote down, and you can compare it to what you wrote down, but you need to try it first. Pause the video. Okay, here it is. It is much easier to find the length using a centimeter ruler. Yeah, it's a lot easier to use this tool compared to that tool. This just takes way too long, and it's not as accurate. So it is much easier to find the length using a centimeter ruler. Using centimeter cubes takes more time, and I don't like it because it's not as accurate. All right, so now we are going to move on to the exit ticket. Here's the exit ticket. Now these first couple are going to be very easy. You are going to circle either centimeter or meter to show which measure you would use to measure the length of each object. The length of a train, would that be a centimeter or a meter? The length of an envelope. You know what you get, an envelope? Here's one of my little envelopes right here. This is an envelope that I keep choir money in. If I was going to measure the length of an envelope, that would be how long it is. Would I want to use centimeters or meters? And then the length of your house. Would I use centimeters or meters? Okay. Then you have to, would it take more meters? Okay, that would be a centimeter stick. This would be like a meter stick. Would it take more meter sticks, or would it take more centimeters, which would be a centimeter cube? There you go. Would it take more meter sticks or more centimeters to measure the length of our playground? Explain your answer. So you're thinking about this unit, a meter stick, which is pretty doggone long. Do you remember how long that was? Woo! Remember when Miss Star ran that through so you could see it? It is 100 centimeters. Well, there it is, 100 centimeters right at the end, 100 centimeters. Would it take more of these to measure the playground, or would it take more of these? Okay, you're going to think that through. Stop the video or pause the video for just a minute, and then we'll talk about your answers. Pause the video. Oh, we're not going to actually talk about your answer because you need to send this to your teacher. She wants to see how you did on the exit ticket. Okay, so send that to your teacher. And now we are finished for today.